Hi everyone, is the greenhouse I built during COVID. What I'm going to do is, them panels are put at the time and I didn't really know what I was doing. It's gone a little bit rotten now. So I'm going to remove them, smarten it up. The front of it, I don't think looks great, I've never been happy with it. I'm going to smarten that up. And hopefully, it'll just look a hell of a lot better. Some of the screws like that are visible, so I should be able to get them out, but some aren't, so I purchased this. Mode metal. So hopefully with that I can find out where the screws are and get it all undone. I've removed all the old panel from it. Had to touch up a couple of bits due to being in works a couple of days later. I'm now going to measure and cut the new panel, put that in place. And I've done it properly this time. I bought some proper treated wood. So I'll get the shed there open, get measuring, get cutting. Right, now I've done that, I'm going to mark out the screws halfway. And I'm also, for good measure, going to get some used engine oil. It's going to be a bit messy. Paint the underside and paint the bottom of the wood, just, you know, so it stops it rotting. Right, before I put the oil behind it and screw it on, I've got a 3mm drill on that, where I've marked out the holes on that just to stop it from splitting. So I won't record that, I'm just going to paint the oil on, put it on, and I'll do the next bit. Okay, that is the first piece on and it's nice and level. There is a bit of a gap at the bottom, but I'm going to put some beading on it just to neaten it up. Right, now on to the rest. Right, when I was marking out this time, measured where them beams are, and the wood's 100mm thick, so I've marked out 50mm halfway. So same process as before. Drill the holes, bit of oil, make sure it's level, get it screwed on. Okay, here's the second piece on. What I'm going to do now is do exactly the same process till I get to the top. So I'll just be repeating myself and then I'll show you what I did from there. About 3/4 of an hour later and I have all the cladding on. Quite happy with how it looks up to now. There is a few bits that don't look great, but you can't see it from the outside. However, when I go inside, it's definitely more noticeable. However, I'm going to put another panel on this side, and I'm going to put an extractor fan, like a solar thing, on. It won't be very powerful, so maybe put a vent where there's slight gaps in the wood, which will hide them. I'm now going to just tidy up that bit, put the paneling on that side. I've just come across one unforeseen problem. Like I said in the title, it is a cowboy job, I'm not going to lie, it looks shit. So that's rotten, so I'm going to remove that. All this up here I'm going to remove, and I might even remove them bits, sort of start from scratch. So I'm going to get the door off now, clean that up, get all that off, and then go from there. Right, shows how much of a cowboy job. Now I've got that chipboard off, I actually made of it. The inside actually feels okay. Luckily at the time I bought some extra perspex, never thought I'd use, but here we are. Now I've got one problem, catch-22, that's a little bit rotten. However, the screws, I've done what my 88-year-old granddad used to do. Cover the screws in body filler, which I wouldn't do anymore. Loads and loads of paint. And then when it comes to replacing stuff, you can't get them off. I'm going to grind them screws off, and then I'm going to fit the cladding and put that perspex on. And I'll update you then. Since the last filming, I've replaced that bit of timber there. I couldn't really film it and do it at the same time because I was worried about it collapsing basically. Done that. Down to there. I'm now going to put the cladding on. So I need about 5 pieces, well, need 5 pieces again. I've measured them, I'm going to cut them and I'll get those on now. Right, I now have all the slats on that bit, and if I go around the corner on that side, like I said, self-confessed cowboy job, kipper that. The issue I'm trying to think of where I'm calling it a night, one, it's getting late and I don't want to upset the neighbours. Not sure whether to carry on the trend of having that like that or go that way. I think probably like that's better. Maybe fit the window. Kind of where them pieces of wood are there. Anyway, I'm going to sleep on it. I'm in work tomorrow, off either Wednesday or Thursday, so I'll get back to it then. Right, a couple of days later, obviously due to being in work, some of the oil painted on the other side soaked right through that bit second towards the top. I bought some creosote because I don't think Cuprinol's going to work now, just to see what colour it'll dry at. I'm going to put that piece of beading, which is 19 by 38mm, around that side. And that's the other side a couple of days later. I'm going to have to buy some more of that thin wood. So I'll get that measured. I'm going to do a mitre, I think. It should just be about the right length. Right, I've just marked out the mitres, so that one goes like that. And then that one will slide onto that like that. Okay, I've got me saw guide, 10-inch saw at the ready. I'll get them cut. Right. There's those angles cut. Just need to cut that excess bit off there. I'll get it screwed on. I've marked the holes out halfway. I'm just going to get my trusty bench press and I'll drill them and I can fit it. Right, I've done that now. It's a bit messy, unfortunately. I'm going to have to put a bit more creosote in there. But paint both sides. I got the wrong one. Paint the underside and that bit just to future proof it so it doesn't rot. Get that done now. Right, so there's the bead on both sides, or the skirt, whatever you want to call it. Next thing I'm going to do is measure that and I'll cut the perspex. Now one problem, it's hard to tell on the camera, that way that's not lining up. So I'm wondering, should I maybe clad it right to there? But it's going to compromise on the light. So I think there's no way of avoiding it. I'm going to have to put another piece of wood on there to sort of level it out a little bit better. I've got no wood that can go. I'll have a look that can go in that bit maybe to, it should be better. I'll have a look. Right, that is the window measured and marked out. To cut it, what I'm going to use is this old circular saw, and if you look at its teeth, they're quite fine compared to another one like that, for example. Which from last time it worked a lot better than using a Stanley knife. So I'm going to get that cut, hopefully it'll fit okay. Okay, that's the piece of perspex in. Now the next problem I'm going to have is when I do the cladding, because it looks shit, doesn't it? It's probably not all going to line up, so I'm going to have to maybe cut in different sizes and see how that looks. It was a little bit too big, but I didn't want to cut any more further because it might be overkill. So I will fit the cladding. Okay, that's the panelling on that side. What do I call it? The panelling, that's what I'm calling it anyway. There's a gap at the top, but hopefully that piece of wood I used for the edges should fit to neaten it up. Now if I zoom in, I'm not especially happy with that being like that, but I think from a distance with the colour on it's not too bad. But that bit's straight anyway when I checked. The next job is the right hand side. It's going to be a little bit more tricky because it's a lot more off. So I'm going to have to literally measure each piece before I cut it rather than do a uniform size like that one. Okay, right, I'll get on with that and get back to you when it's done. Right, there's the first window all fitted. Put that piece of wood at the bottom and then that one at the top to just neaten it up a little bit. I'm reasonably happy with it. So onto the bottom now. I'm not going to get it done tonight, but hopefully make a start. Right, it's coming up to 8:30 in the evening. Got the sprinkler on. I'm calling it a night for now. I've got the top window done. I've nearly got the second window done, well, half done, and I've fitted the door again, which is a bit of a faff. I had to take it off and on a couple of times. So tomorrow I'm going to add the cladding on the left. I'm going to have to go to Wicks, I think, and buy some more of that, what was it, 19mm by 38mm wood. And yeah, get that boxed off and then I'll move on to the other side. Right, it's 10:30 the next morning and I'm going to start doing the left hand side of the left window. So I'll get that cladding panelling thing on and then see where I'm up to after that. Right, about 40 minutes later, that's all the cladding on the left side done. Again, I've got the same problem on the bit there, but hopefully when it's painted it'll look alright. Now if you look at that bottom window, it's not completely flush, so what I'm going to do is on the other side I'm going to get a piece of wood and kind of push it towards it so it's a little bit tighter, which I'm going to do now. Right, that is the left hand side window now complete. I'll just show you what I've done in the inside. I added a piece of wood there for that to go on to, and I put another piece up there. Right, now that's the next thing I'm going to look at. I think the way I've done that looks an absolute shambles, so I'm going to get some more of that cladding. I'm going to take those bits off at the end and I'll use that instead. Okay, that's the 3 pieces of wood on. I think on the inside, because there is a slight little gap, I'm going to use expander foam. Is that more or less done? Onto the inside. I'm going to just get the left boxed off before the right, so I'm now going to start putting the panelling in there. I need to do something about them little gaps as well, which I'll have a think about in a minute. Right, I've solved that little problem just by adding more of that panel in there. It's covered up the gaps. I'm going to start, I think I'll take this bit off and do the smaller section first. Right, I've made a start on that. As always, I'm running out of time. I put tons of oil at the bottom, put a little bit too much, because I don't want to be opening that panel every so often. Right, now these wires, I bought some solar lights, so I'm using this old rubber flex. Wouldn't want to use it for the mains, but it's fine for that. And hopefully have the 2 lights there, which will look cool at night. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll come back tomorrow. Right, it's hard to film. The next day, and I've got that panelling on, and I've not bothered filming it, but I've got the wires prepped. Right the way up there for the, what do you call it, for the solar lights. Now one problem I didn't think of, they're 4-core, that's obviously only 2-core. So what I'm going to have to do is buzz it with the meter and just label the wires. Shouldn't be too bad. I've used them steel clips. Now Definitely if it's 240 volts won't be using them, although I've seen on some old houses they have been used like that. But I don't know what voltage that is, probably about 12 at the most, so it's not a problem. So I'm just going to have some lunch. I'll get back to it again. Right, if I take the, well, I've taken the cap off the solar lights, as you can see it's got 4 cores. So what I'm going to do is get my multimeter there with jumper leads. I'm then going to, it will be tardy, strip that, strip the one at the bottom, buzz it, and I'll label it with some tape so I know which one's which when I come to splice them. Right, that's the multimeter connected. You can hear it beeping. Got one bit to that one and to the other end. So I'll just get some tape and just identify them for later and carry on with the panels. Right, I prepped the piece of wood for the lights to go on. What I've done is so it goes on a bit tighter. Right, in preparation for where the lights are going to go, I put a piece of wood behind it so they go on a bit stronger. Little hole for the wire to go through, which I'm going to splice some wire in a minute. So, paint the back of it with some creosote and I'll get it put on. Right, I've got them 2 panels in. I've now got the lights where I want them. I haven't decided on the right hand side what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to connect the one for the left now. So I put the solar panel there and I need to cut this sort of long enough it's easy enough to work on, but not too long that it's going to look a mess. I might maybe tie it with cable ties at the top. Right, get on with that. Right, again looking at that, we've got one, what is it, black and green, and another one blue and red. So we just need to remember that sequence. Right, I've just spliced that to the solar panel. Get that heat shrink on. Not the safest place for obvious reasons to be doing that, but just keep a good eye out. And then I'll do the bottom. Right, I've got it on, put the heat shrink on, but then I've also realised that's going through that side. That's bloody like that. Ugh. I don't really want to have to redo it again either, so I'm just going to have to live with it. It took me ages to do. I don't particularly want to do it again. Just think of a way of neatening it. Right, to make life easier, I just discovered that both lights will work off the same panel. So I'm going to connect them in series. The only problem is if one bulb goes, the rest is game over for the other light. But it's kind of future proof because there'll be enough slack there. So if that light ever goes, I can just splice a new one on without even having to open the panel. Same goes for that solar panel. If that ever goes, I can just unscrew that, buy a new one, put that on. So yeah, get them put together and I'll get back. Right, I now have that panel fitted with the lights. I did check them, they did work. So I'm just going to fit the final piece there. Because it's absolutely hollow, I'll just put that piece, the offcut just there. Right, I'll get on with that. I'll call it a night. Right, I hate using this stuff, but it's needed for the gaps, so just there, and maybe a little bit under there. And then I'm done. Right, it's 8:10 on a Friday evening. That's the outside. The oil seems to be just soaking more and more through that wood. Want to use Cuprinol, but no chance of that. It'll have to be creosote, which probably work better anyway. That is the panel I finished yesterday. The door I made last year. How it originally looked. and I've just had a good tidy. The expander foam, which I'm going to cut out on Monday when I'm off next, and show you the other side first. That lot I need to cut out as well. Lights on a video I did about a year ago, still working. And there's the panelling done. No, I can't. I got them working before. The light's too bright. Anyway, they're all working, so it should look cool later. So that panel done. The thing I don't like is the fact that's a bit of a edge on it, but no kind of gap. But like I said, it's a cowboy job in the first place. I'm just trying to make the best of it. And that's the other panel complete. So come back to it Monday, hopefully. I can't think what I'm going to do. Hopefully the answer will come to me in my sleep. Right, thank you. Right, just before bed. Them lights obviously still work. And seem to go off when I turn them on. The solar lights. Let's get all the colours. I think they look quite cool. Just get a view from the outside. I'm quite happy with that. Right, get back to it Monday. Right, it's now 10:30 on a Monday morning. That's it in daylight. The panelling I did. Come up here. The foam. Just need to cut it off. Right, now what I think I'll do today is, if you see them, the window sort of sills, obviously they look crap, they're not level, water's going to get in. So I'm going to measure some wood, cut it, try and level it all up the best I can. When I've done that, I'm going to go on the outside, I'm going to make like a sort of frame with the thinner wood around it. Hopefully to avoid the ceilings and just use the wood because it looks a mess. If it doesn't work at a later date, I'll put some silicone or window sealant around it, but for now I'm going to try that. So I'll get the wood cut, try and get it levelled. Right, on the left hand side, the piece just needed a little bit coming off. I don't use this tool very often. I've got my router, I've set it, the depth of that which I've marked out. I then just need to cut that to the right depth, and then it's going to make a right mesh, but go along with the router till that's flat. And hopefully that will fit okay. Right, I'll get going. That's the reason I don't use it very often. It makes a right old-fashioned mess, and it's hard when it's alright when it's level with that, but when it comes off it, you get a few imperfections. Hopefully it'll fit and it won't be too noticeable. I'll try it now. Right, that's that piece in. I've got it as level as I can, but it's not perfect. So I'll get the end done. I'm going to go in, get something to eat because I'm starving, and then I'll work on the outside. Right, here's one I did earlier. I've done miters around the frame. That one, big gaps. I've done an old school trick if it works. Glue mixed with sawdust. So I'm now going to get the rest done. Right, with that tool I literally just went round removing all the excess sealant, which I'm going to do now. I'll show you how I did the miters. Okay, I've got as much of that old sealant out as I can. I'm not too bothered about the bits remaining because the wood's going to cover it. So I'm going to measure round the frame, cut the wood, and I'll show you what to do next. Right, I now have my 4 pieces cut to size. Next thing I'm going to do is go inside the shed and cut the miters. Right, I've labelled all the pieces, so what I'm going to do is what I call a boat shape, cut from there to there, there to there. I'll measure the screws, where the holes are going to go, drill it in the drill press. I'm not going to film all that. Paint the creosote all around it so it doesn't rot, and then I'll screw it on and get on to the second. Right, I've now put some creosote on it, fitted it. I'm now going to do the other piece in the same fashion. Right, now back in the shed, I'm now going to cut the piece of wood, that boat shape again, and obviously measure where the holes are going to go, drill them, and I'll put it on. Right, it's the second one done. I'm really happy, to be fair, with the way it looks. I had to put a bit of that old school made wood filler in the bottom miter. That far left's going to look the same. I can't think though what I'm going to do about the bottom here. I need to have a bit of a think. Possibly thinking the thicker wood at the bottom and then make the frame like that. Might look okay. But I'll keep thinking. Right, the end of today, I've got the third frame in. And in preparation for the other one, I thought it was the best idea. I've put the thicker wood at the bottom of that. So when I'm off work again, that's going to match with that on the bottom, which I think will look good. I'm quite happy with the results. So, back in work tomorrow. Tidy up now, do a bit more Wednesday. Right, that is the 4th window done. Now on to the 5th. Right, that's the 5th window complete. Just need to fill in that gap there, which I'll do later. And like magic, I've done the 6th piece, and I've also filled in where those gaps are. Now, the next job, once that body filler was setting, I made a start getting all that off. So I need to tidy up and then get back. Right, sometime later I've got the panel on the left hand side started. Hopefully tomorrow I'll do a little bit more. What I'm going to do now before I call it a night, I'm going to creosote that. Shouldn't take too long. And I'm going to do all this. And then I'll call it a night. Right, that is the creosote now on. I'll clean the windows when it's dry. And if I go around the other side, on that side as well. And then obviously I've done that today. So, fingers crossed. Starting to take shape and neaten up. Right, later on the following afternoon. That's the result of the paint I did last night. And that side there. Now need to be very clever and get this bit as symmetrical as possible. Right, I've just added, so it's symmetrical, the other piece. One piece of wood on top, one on the side, one on the bottom. That third piece was, oh, what was it? I can't remember. Or did I put that there the other night? I can't remember, don't matter anyway. It's there. Problem I've got is that piece on the far right. It's a shambles. The beam going up's not straight at all. So if I had that straight, it'd look terrible. So I've had to put it on crooked. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is measure that frame. And luckily, a piece of the original stuff turned up from behind the shed. So I'll measure it, cut it, get it on. And I'll get back. Right, and now I've that window on, next thing I'm going to do is, so it's symmetrical with that, I'm going to measure what they were. Just see with the tape measure where it's going to come up to on that. So hopefully it'll look the same both sides. Well, it needs to look the same, not hopefully. So I'll get on with that. Right, I've just put all that cladding on. Now I found an annoying problem which I'm not sure I'm going to get round. Right, I put this piece in here. Now I want it to go there, but it's miles off. So the only solution I can think of is measure to where it is on the other bit, and I'll have to get the jigsaw and make a piece to go in there. It's not going to look as good as I want, but it's not a particularly good job in the first place, so I'm just making the best of it. Right, I'm calling it a night for about the next week because I'm absolutely done in. So far today I've put that window in, done the cladding. It's not particularly how I wanted it to look, but I've done, if I go closely, put two pieces of wood on top of each other there, and two there, because that one was made such a cock up in the first place, didn't line up properly, and it wasn't completely level, so I've done that. And the creosote I put in last night seems to be drying okay. So, a bit busy next sort of week, so hopefully in a week's time we'll get back to it. Right, it's now Wednesday the 30th of July, about a week later because I've been at work and I've spent the last couple of days in Whitby. Colour seems to be soaking in okay. I think it's even touched right, more or less. And that's what I did last time, so today I'm going to get that window sorted. Right, that piece of wood, obviously it's a shambles, it's not level at all, so what I'm going to do is get this, try and film it, and I'll screw it on there and just get it as level as possible. Hopefully might look a bit neater, so I'm going to get on with that and get back. Right, that piece of wood is now on, and obviously it's a gap you could park a bus in. So what I'm going to do is, that is level though, get it on there, yeah. So what I'm going to do is, I've measured a piece up to kind of where it goes flush off the offcuts for the old stuff. I'm then going to get my jigsaw in a sec. I'm going to cut it to the width for the new piece, screw it on, and hopefully it'll look a lot better and it'll be a lot leveler when I put the cladding on, all being well. Right, what I did was got a piece of the old wood, got the jigsaw, got it so it's flush with there. Problem is that bit isn't. I'll just have to see how I get on. So I'm going to make a start on the cladding now. First thing I'm going to do is make a little piece for there. Right, that's the top window now fitted. The screws aren't lined up, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to see them. So, now for the cladding. Right, so that cladding on that side, the left, done. So what I'm going to do next is get that piece of timber, same as that. Put it on that side so it matches. Right, I've now got that side done. However, I was looking before at the two pieces of wood I did last time at the bottom, thinking it looked a bit botched. So I've now put the piece of the cladding there and there, and I think I'm going to do the same on both top halves and the top half of that. I think it'll just flow a lot nicer and it won't stick out quite as much, so I'm going to get that done. Right, those bits of wood put in, I think it looks a lot better than what it did. So I'll make a start now on the cladding there, and I'll call it a night. Right, a few hours later, I've now got the panel in. That's just loose. I've kept that bit, 2 reasons. One, it's solid still. Secondly, if I'd taken out that, would have been just kind of a bit of a gap. Put some expander foam inside. It's hard now. I've got one little thing to do before I say goodnight. Right, the other night when I was watering, I poured some water on the roof to see if there are any leaks, and there was a leak on that bit I'm filming now. So I bought this stuff. I'm going to mix it together and pour it on. Right, I bought this stuff in Wicks. Now, it wasn't cheap. It's about $18.50 I think for a tin of it. Says it's flexible, withstands extreme temperatures, waterproof, self-leveling, works on wet and dry surfaces. Now, what have I got to do? There's oil on it, so not a lot I can do about that. So I need to mix it through thoroughly for about 30 seconds, so I'll do that now. Right, I've just mixed it through. It said 30 seconds, but I've probably done it for about a minute. And it doesn't smell of like chemicals, it's like a eucalyptus smell. So anyway, I'm going to pour it on the shed, and tomorrow when it's set or whatever it does, I'll test it. Right, the next afternoon, that is the result of it. It's hardened, so it should make a good seal. I'll just show you on the jug what it looks like now. Come in the shed, poke my hand in it, it's kind of gone to like a rubbery consistency, but it's still, some of my fingers dirty underneath. Anyway, I'm moving on to this now. I'm going to have a bash at putting the cladding on the top. Now, there's one problem I'm going to have, which I think I've found a solution for. Right, I'm just going to use random bits of scrap wood because I'm probably going to box in this bit so you're not going to see it anyway. I've marked that roughly to about there. So what I'm going to do is router that so that wood fits in flush. And then I'll have to cut an angle so that goes on top. And then the cladding can screw onto that. Right, I've cleared some of that concrete that's on this bit of scrap wood away. So I'm going to cut down to where that mark is, and I'll router it out, and then that piece of wood should fit nice and flush into it. Right, I've just set the depth on the router to where I want it. Problem I've got is that vice won't open wide enough. So I'll see if I can do it this way. It probably won't work, but I'll have a go. It's getting that round bit to kind of fit on it. I'll have a look anyway. Now fitted, so it should give something secure for the wood to go on. Need to have a think about that. And obviously this bit. What I'm going to do now is, with my humble Stanley knife, let's cut out the old plastic, so I'll do that and I'll get back to you. Right, I've now got that bit ready so I can get the wood on. Right, the next bit I'm going to do, it's either going to be an absolute success or a complete failure. Hopefully I've measured it right. I'll show you now. Right, what I've done is, I got it the right way around. Yeah, need to ignore that line. Right, so what I need to do is, I've measured the wood so it fits between the middle of the greenhouse to the end. Now I've drawn a line where it starts to dip, and then measured the very bottom which comes to there, and I've drawn a line across which I'm going to cut out now. So get me jigsaw, cut it out, fingers crossed it'll work. I had to trim it slightly on the angle, but I'm quite happy it fits okay. And if I look closely, there's no gaps either, it's nice and flush with that, so make that piece next. Right, I'm going to call it a night. I'm quite happy at that. I think I did quite a good job, considering I'm not particularly good at maths and my first time trying to do it on an angle before. So that's it, I'm in work tomorrow, next 3 days, so I can't really do that much more, but it's definitely taking shape. Right, the other day I put the top cladding on and I painted it since I last filmed. Quite happy with it so far. I mean, it's never going to look perfect, but I think it looks a hell of a lot better. Right, this afternoon I'm going to deal with this. Right, as you can see, I've put some expander foam in there, and that's the stuff I've used to pad it out. So I'm going to clad this bit from the inside. It should look a lot better. Right, I've just levelled that out the best I can. I'm going to fit the first piece here. I'll probably have to do it up to there and then join the piece on there. I don't fancy being complicated with that. Right, I'll get on with it. Right, so I did it on the outside. I've marked the highest point there to the lowest point, and I'm going to jigsaw it. I'll probably need to trim it slightly, but give it a go. Right, this bit was a faff and it's still got a gap which I'll have to fill. What I did was I measured, wrong hand, I measured where that point starts, deepest point, which obviously I haven't done very well, to the narrowest point or vice versa, and then cut it with a jigsaw, which I probably could have done better, but I'm not doing it again. Just use some filler. Now what I'm doing is a piece right across there to there. So I've used this as a guide. I've marked the point out on the wood, measured it where the problem starts at the slope. So I'll do it to that, and then I'll measure the lowest point from there to there. And then cut it, fingers crossed it'll fit. Not sure how accurate this is going to be because I couldn't get the ruler to the very end, so I've kind of had to guess. Anyway, highest point's 100mm where it starts to dip, and the lowest point I'd say is about 30. But I got to about 35 and it looked about that much difference. So I'm going to draw a line from there to there, cut it, and fingers crossed it'll fit. Okay, that is now in. Hopefully the rest of its life. I think what I'll do next when I'm filming at the far corner there, make a piece for that, which I don't think is going to be that easy, but I'll have a go. Right, I finished this off Saturday. I didn't bother filming it, reason being I didn't know what I was doing. I had to get a neighbour's help in the end. Right, what I've done, I've over-engineered it, future-proofed it, all them words. If I ever decide to put extra solar lights in here, I've got the wires ready. Just join them with tape because it's only low voltage. For some reason, I don't know why, the 4 cores, so why there's so many wires. So I'll get this strapped on, get on with the rest. Right, that is the cladding for this bit done, just needs painting. Am I happy with it? Not especially, I don't particularly like that bit, but I can't think at the moment how to correct it. Anyway, it's done, just needs painting. I'm going to continue cladding up to there. Now I'm going to put a fan in it so it's got a bit more ventilation in the winter when the door's shut, so it doesn't get too humid in here, which it could do when the sun's out and it's damp. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to put a piece of wood going up on the left hand side so it's got more to screw on, and obviously need to remove that expander foam, so I'll get on with that. Right, I'm now up to this bit. I've put the vent in which was a nightmare to do. I didn't film it because it didn't look very good. Next thing I'm going to do is continue putting the cladding up to there, and then I'm going to cut a hole for the fan to go. Right, I've now got the little fan in there, and I put some silicone to stick it up there, which I think is going to keep it in place, hopefully. Right, one mistake I've made, go back down. I didn't put the wires in the hollow space, but I think I can rectify it. So what I'm going to do is, I've marked out a hole there. I'm going to drill a hole through that. I've glued that, haven't I? But there should be enough clearance to get the wire. Drill another hole there, poke it through there. I'm going to put a piece of wood under that, and there's a bit of a hollow gap. So hopefully that should work. I'll get back to you when I've done it. Right, it was an absolute ball ache to do last night. Put the wires there, I'm going to paint over them. Going right down. So where the fan is, only isn't bloody working. Now I took it out and it did work. I cleared a bit of that foam because it's a bit in the way, but it's still not working. So I think I'm going to leave it be, and I'll get a better one when I can afford it. It's not the end of the world at the moment. Now I'm in two minds. I'm going to clad over that so it kind of blends in, or start the cladding under there, which is not going to be easy. Might get the hardest bit out of the way first. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of thinking. A little bit fiddly, but I managed to get it in. I put that piece of wood there for the rest to go on. I've put another piece there. Now there's nothing attaching that, so what I did, I found an offcut, screwed it down there. Obviously covered it in oil to protect it, and I managed to get the drill and impact driver in there. So that's the first piece done. Right, now on to the rest. Right, I've got the second piece on. I managed to get that one screwed in just by using this very helpful flexible shaft my neighbour very kindly gave me when he was having a clear out, which is very useful then. Right, get the rest done. Looking at it now, should be a lot easier. There's not as many obstacles, but maybe when I come to do that bit, maybe not, we'll see. Right, that's that side of the panel fitted. I'm now going to do this bit. Now, same difficulty, there's bits of wood in the way the space is confined. So what I'm going to do, same as that, I'm going to put a beam going roughly in the middle down, and then hopefully that'll be enough to, and I've also put that piece on the far left, it's darker, on, so hopefully I can get them all screwed. A bit fiddly there, but hopefully I can come up with something. Right, I'll go on with that. Right, last night I prepped that bit to put some more of that cladding on, paneling, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to get on with that now. The tricky bit's going to be that bottom bit, possibly, we'll see. Stuff in the way, so I don't know how successful it's going to be. Just noticed a big piece of wood there. Anyway, I'll have a go, see how it goes. Probably safe to say I've gone a bit mad at the old expander foam. Didn't need that much, bit of a waste, but never mind. Anyway, that's in. Must admit I'm not that happy with it, but it'll have to do. Right, what I'm going to do now is I bought some cedar red paint. I'm going to get a scraper, get rid of all these blue marks, just tidy it up a bit, have a clean, and I'll put the first coat on. Right, I'll take one last look at this because it's going to be painted. Note to anyone, don't go as mad with the expander foam as I have. Called expander foam for a reason. I just kept squirting and squirting until it looked full, which obviously it didn't need. It's not that cheap. Well, it's about $6.25 a bottle. Right, I'm gonna get all this done. Get back. Right, looking very red in here. I'm gonna cover all that blue bit so I'm not asked about getting the paint on it, and I'll wash off what I've got on it. Problem is, over time I've added oil to that, not more cuprinol. So what I might do when it's dry, put a layer of it, used engine oil on it to, you know, so it's all looking dark. Yeah, definitely too much expander foam. Lesson learned. Lesson learned to the extreme. And if I go up, painted all this. So I'm in work the next 2 days. Monday, hopefully, gonna put more cladding on that. I can zoom out, which I can't. Yeah, should look good. Right, 2 coats later, gonna put more on. I've done all that. Other bits need doing, but that'll be a later time. Yeah, and that's that. Today I'm going to get rid, hopefully, of all this blue. I'll clad over it. Might be a bit tricky, but see how we get on. Before I'm going to do any of that, there's a leak possibly on the top there. So some of that Gorilla Glue, I'm going to use that to fix it with. Right, that's the first piece in. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a gap there's going to be when the second goes in, but I'm not too bothered about that. Despite spending ages the other night putting these clips in, I'm now going to take them straight back out. There should be, I was in the way, enough clearance under that bit of wood, and even if there wasn't, it's low volts anyway. Oh, don't damage the wire, whatever I do. Right, last one out for that bit. So, put it straight over the wood, and it should be a little gap, so the wire is quite loose. Only about 3.5 volts, so it's not too big a deal. Right, that bit's obviously now on. I'm going to fit this bit. So I think if you look at the offcut there, I need to trim it. Probably about 1.5–2 centimeters. So I'll mark it out, measure the difference, and I'll get the jigsaw out and cut it. Right, that's the third piece in. Am I happy with it? Nope, not at all. Reason being, if anyone uses a jigsaw, it's so hard to try and saw straight them how steady you are. And there's a gap there and there. Best I could do is just have a reasonable compromise. So, hopefully, when I paint it, shouldn't be too noticeable. Right, that piece will be easy, but the second one's going to be a struggle again. Right, I put this bit on. It's not better than what I thought it'd be, to be fair. I did use a circular saw, but it started to pinch, so apart from it being dangerous, it wouldn't have. It was veering off anyway, so I finished it with the jigsaw. And now it's obviously on. So, this bit next, and it's the angles that might be a bit tricky. Right, that's the first side done. Next job I'm going to do is put a piece here. I don't, maybe might have to make an adjustment there. Oop, wasn't filming then. Make an adjustment there. It's obviously going to get trickier. Hopefully I'll have that done soon. Oddly, That fan worked briefly for about 5 minutes and then it stopped. When I get the money, I'll get something a bit better, but I'll keep it there for now. Right, back to that. I shall get on with that now. Get back to the camera. Right, that's all that bit done. To be honest, I'm not overly chuffed of it, but it'll protect the greenhouse a lot more than that chipboard would. Right, so moving on to this bit now. The bottom, I think it's just one little bit, and they might need the, well, we'll need the jigsaw, and then after then should be fairly straightforward. Right, 2 days later due to being in work, all that's boarded, put more expander foam in, which obviously needs to cut out, and a bit of body filler to neaten, not body filler, wood filler to neaten it up. And this will be green eventually. Need to obviously cut that out. Right, today I've started only small pieces, but it looks like it's going the whole way through. And lines up that nicely. I've done up to there. So I'm going to keep paneling. I probably need one more piece there. The only problem is it's not going to line up completely, but it's one of them. So I'll put that in and then move on to that side. And then when I've done that, I'll try and panel that bit. So hopefully by the end of tomorrow, structurally and or cosmetic, whatever you want to call it, it should all be done, just ready for painting. Right, and now I have all those pieces of wood in place. The only thing I need to do is that blue bit. If I can get to it, I've got the ladder out, which I'll explain in a sec. Just under it, you can't quite see it. And then the back panelling's done. Can find some sandpaper, sand off that wood filler in a bit. Right, I put some of that Gorilla sealant on, it's like a rubber thing, which I've done previously on it. It's still leaking, so what I'm going to do is go up the ladder with the watering can, come back down and just see where it's leaking from, because I did see a few leaks when I squirted the hose pipe on it. I did seal it, but there's a drip coming from there, which I can't understand, and there's one coming round there. Now I bought more of that stuff, but it's 18 quid for a tin of it, which I don't really want to be paying again, so I bought some exterior window sealant, which I'll get out in a minute. Right, I've used this cheap and cheerful stuff. I mean, that, what you call it, Gorilla stuff's pretty a lot better, but this will have to do because it's a lot cheaper and I've not got bags of money lying around. Anyway, I'm going to go up on the ladder and I'll show you what I've done. Right, now this roof, it's got tiny little holes in that, which is why I'll probably in about a year's time it's going to need replacing, but it's not a job I particularly want to do. So I've squirted some silicone in that. I put, that's the Gorilla stuff, it feels quite rubbery, and I've just patched up them, some fresh sealant. That's not leaking and it's not the safest place in the world, so I don't particularly want to do any more than I have to. And that looks very botch. I've just squirted a load in there. Probably won't work, but we'll see. And that's it for now. Right, I've now sanded down, I've had a good hoover. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to paint all that wood in, what is it, sage green. It's going to need a few coats anyway. I'm going to leave the red, but I'll paint the blue bits in green. So I'll get on with that. Be the last time we'll see it looking bare. Right, about 10 o'clock the next morning. That's the first coat of that paint, and to be honest, it's definitely going to need a few more coats. which I might do a bit later. Anyway, I don't know what to do about that bit. The problem is it's got that conduit box there. I can't remember what's in it, and I've not undone it to check. But I might just leave that bit for a later date. Just give me something to do when I'm at a loose end. I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to board over that tongue and groove stuff there over this shelf thing. Hopefully blend it in, make it look a bit neater. Right, I don't use nails very often, but I've just nailed that on like so. A problem I'm getting is, ideally love to just clad over the whole lot of this, but I haven't got an endless supply of money. So what I think I'll do is, I'm just gonna, that looks a mess, a bit knocked up botch, I'm gonna clad over that bit. I'd love to do all that, but it's more money, you know. It's only like £4 or £5 here and there, but it mounts up, and I've spent tons on this already, so I'll just do them bits. And like side pockets are made out of an old cabinet I think my neighbour gave me. So I'll do that. And then after that I bought some trunking, so I'm going to go around them wires, neaten them up. Right, I put that one in there. And that one there just looks a bit neater than what was there. What I'm going to do now is, where these wires are, I bought some trunking, so I'm going to put that up. And then pretty much once I've done that, it's just little bits need tidying up, and then it should be all done. I hope. Right, it's a nice, quick and easy job. All I need to do now is slot that in the groove and push it in. Maybe I'll do it one-handed if I'm lucky. Or can I? No. Anyway, I'll get that on, and the other one I'll film when I'm doing the miters. Right, put all the trunking on. It's a bit difficult with this piece because obviously that's a different bit of a slope, so what I did, I just cut a couple of pieces of old PVC pipe I'd lying around just to raise it up a bit. It's not the best, and the mitre wasn't perfect, so I've just used a bit of white tape on it. Let's go into there. Really, I didn't want to be cutting any more. I didn't want to waste that bit, so it's a bit shorter than what I wanted, but hey ho. That piece around there. And that one going down there. Right to the bottom. And then I've done another mitre piece there for the fan, which intermittently works. Hopefully I'll get a new one soon. Right, what I'm going to do now is have a really good tidy hoover. And I'll do some more painting, I think. Right, I've just cleaned, hoovered round, even though it doesn't look like it. Get all this painted. Another coat on that, more the merrier. Right, get that done. Get back later. Right, about 10:15 in the morning. Last night I put a coat of creosote on there, so it's looking a bit darker, which I'm happy about. Kind of up to the finishing touches now. I'm going to give that door a paint, hopefully today. Just freshen that up. And I've got the, what was it, more of that, I've forgotten what it's called, English sage on it. So I'm going to do another coat of that now. Being a bit heavy-handed, splashed a little bit, so yeah, it's just the kind of finishing touches. I've managed to order a fan as well for that, so hopefully that'll come today. It's looking quite dark. Hopefully, with any luck, I can have the whole lot done today. Right, I'm going to put another coat on that and I'll get back. Right, that's now dry, so what I'm going to do next is get some of the red and just tidy up, you know, obviously where I've splashed it. So I'll get that done now. Once that's dry, I'll have a good wash round, just, you know, get the place looking clean. I don't want to risk scrubbing that plastic because it's quite brittle, so what I might do, spray some of that skip the soak stuff on it, just leave it, and hopefully it might, you know, in time with the rain or even just rinsing on top of it, it'll sort of self clean. Right, I'll get on with that. Yeah, a few splashes here and there. Right, I've had a touch up in here and I painted over the expander foam. I've not bothered cutting it just to add a bit more insulation, and I've just realised I've missed a bit. Great, so I have to get onto that. Once that's dried, I'm going to sand just that wood over and I'll probably put creosote on it, I think. I think what I'll do now is just paint that, and then I'm going to give all the outside a good wash and then remove the film off that. Right, what I'm going to do now it's dried is, I've remembered to do that, give it a really good wash now. I'm going to take everything out, absolutely everything, and just strip it and clean it and then put everything back in. So I'll get on with now. Right, now it's completely empty. I'm echoing a bit in here, apart from them bits there. I'm gonna, it's empty. Right, I'm gonna get the sander now. I'm gonna sand all that marks of paint off. I'll probably get the hoover in here or have a good sweep, and then I'm gonna give it a good wash. And then, you know, put everything in from scratch, chuck out stuff I don't need. Right, I'm now armed with a bucket of water and a scraper. So, bits like this where I've splashed all that conduit, only low bolts. Disappointed with that fan, and I got the one off Amazon. It's arrived and it does absolutely sod all. So that's going to have to go back. I don't know what to do about that. I'll have to think of something. Anyway, get this washed down and hopefully slowly bring everything back in. Right, that's it all washed down. Unfortunately, some bits where like the actual paint in the past has got under the plastic. Some I just can't get it off. So yeah, it doesn't look amazing, but it's a lot cleaner, a lot better than what it was. Just go around at the camera. Looks alright. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the shops whilst this is drying. However, I'm going to do a bit I've been looking forward to for a while. I'm going to get my Stanley knife and I'm going to get rid of this and get some more light in here. Right, I'm now back. Hopefully I'll have this completely boxed off tonight and probably edit it and post it tomorrow. That's off. One thing I didn't think about, but wouldn't have looked good anyway, where I put that cladding on the outside, it's obviously like that on the inside and the same. Yeah, all that shit I need to put back in here. Looks like a fly tip, doesn't it? Yeah, it's the same on there. It's bits of, because it's hollow on between there, bits I've got in the past. Right, what I'm going to do now is get the creosote, move out the way, go over that, these side bits there, and there, and then I'll start moving stuff back in. Good thing about that, unlike the paint, it soaks in more than dries, so in theory, I'm not going to, I'll try and move it out of the way, but putting stuff on top shouldn't be too big a deal. Right, get on with that and I'll come back. Right, that's the creosote on that. Doesn't look great, but I think at the same time I'll add a bit of character to it. So then, let's get everything back in. So I'm going to turn off my camera, get all that crap back in. Right, that's now complete. The only thing I might do is add a gutter. There's pretty other things, and if I show you around the side, that's it that way. On the inside, would I say it's a cowboy job? Yeah, definitely. Does it still look a cowboy job? Yeah, but I think it's a cowboy that's getting a little bit better. And I'd say if I probably built it from scratch now, it'd be a lot better than the original job. At least it's tidy. One problem, I never seem to have enough space and always got too much stuff. And what I'll do when I upload it, I'll post pictures of the original greenhouse, which was a cheap plasticky thing. Maybe some of the cowboy photos of it being built. But that's it. Like I did a video on about a year ago, yeah, and it's still working. I'll probably upload this tomorrow, so I'll take a shot of it with them solar lights on with it all done up. But yeah, that's it. Got some mint growing. I can't remember what they are. More mint. What else have I got? More mint. That's literally just from a supermarket, and I just put it in a pot about 10 years ago, I reckon, but it's still going strong. Just trim it every now and again and repot it. And it's pretty a bit big for a chili plant that my mum gave me. And see the Whitby upload the other week, I took some seaweed from Robin Hood Beach. Just made excellent plant food. Bit of storage. That was an afterthought that I did later on. About, I don't know, 4 years ago. Just to add a bit more storage. I didn't bother doing that bit still, but all that stuff covers it. Tried to organise it. They call me pesticides and plant feeds in there. Paints down there. Probably have the watering can use regularly there. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I started it on the, had a look back, 12th of July this year, 2025. And it's now coming up to 7:30 on the 19th of August. So it's probably taken me about 6 weeks to do, but that's with, you know, being at work. I've done a little bit here and there on my days off, but that's the end result. I think it looks a lot better. I think, you know, I'm quite happy with it. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe.